Hello, authors and book lovers alike. Welcome to another informative discussion on today's author interview. We are now streaming live in our Festival of Storytellers Facebook page and Readers Magnet Facebook page and YouTube channel. I'm your host, Mia, and gracing us on today's engrossing discussion is our featured author, Dr. Robert Brown, the author of the book Punk Medicine. It's always a joy to be in your presence, Dr. Brown. So thank you for being with us today.
Well, thank you very much. I enjoy it.
Yes. So how are you feeling today?
Terrific. It's a beautiful day here.
That's wonderful. I think it's the perfect weather to do our interview.
Good.
So, yeah, so to start, writing a book about medicine is an exhaustive process. It's Medicine is a technical and complicated subject to deal with. So now, I'm sure our viewers, before we start deep diving into the book, I'm sure they're interested to know more about you. So, can you give us a brief introduction about yourself, maybe like your background? Let us get to know the man behind punk medicine.
Well, I have quite a bit of education. I went to the University of California, Berkeley, and studied in physiology, chemistry, and math. And did very well once I got through with it. I'm a very right brain thinker. I don't like to memorize things. I love to invent things. And so when I got into my major, I just excelled and loved it. And then I took several fellowships when I was in medical school. I actually graduated as an orthodontist, and then got more and more interested in medicine, especially after I had a near-death experience when I was 30 years old due to malpractice. It got me to lose faith in fact, the doctor that did the malpractice did it several times. It got me very sick before, and I went through 6 days of a coma and learned a lot about how medicine doesn't work. So that got me started studying all fields of medicine, including ancient medicine, because there are things they did thousands of years ago that still work really well, but the drug industry won't let them do it.
So I'm getting that your previous experience is your basically like your inspiration in writing the book, right?
Yes. And
Yeah.
I had
So
another experience due to the COVID vaccine, a near-death experience, and it was due to the doctor's error again. So I'm well educated out of self-defense.
I'm sorry that you've experienced those, but did those two experiences did you cover them in your book, or like did
Oh,
you
yes,
maybe?
they're covered. But I
I
always
see.
take an opportunity to learn and be thankful rather than get mad. And the only reason I'm writing this book is to warn other people: don't trust anybody. Always get another opinion.
Yes, it's always better to get two or more opinions when it comes to medicine, I'm sure.
And I wholly recommend when you're given a prescription, look it up on the internet. You might not want the side effects.
Oh, so is your experience related to that? Like, did you suffer from bad side
Well,
effects?
for instance, the drug for arthritis has the side effects of death. And arthritis in my office, I treat a lot, and I treat it with diet only, and I don't need to use any drugs, and I get results. There's a
Yes.
Dr. Colin Dong in San Francisco. He's passed away now, but he treated over 10,000 cases of arthritis with no drugs, just diet, and successfully.
Yes, so I'm sure our viewers are now very interested to know more about punk medicine, given from your experiences and your own opinions. So to start our discussion, I actually read a little bit about your synopsis. I've searched into like punk medicine, and I've uh, came across your synopsis, and a statement really influenced or impacted me a lot. So I'm going to read it, and I want to get your opinion about it. So in verbatim, it says that most doctors are now treating symptoms, not patients. Like that line itself is seems very significant to your book. So can you maybe elaborate on that?
It is so significant. I last year had a case treated by a neurologist because his cheek was hurting and he was giving him Botox shot. On my first appointment, I discovered a tumor where those Botox shots were going, and he had a very large tumor starting to enter his brain. And I got him to the surgeon in time, and he's alive now. But just it's just appalling how doctors aren't doing their job.
Is that man like a patient, a friend, or how did you get to meet that?
He came to me because in my practice, I have
Mhm.
a reputation of curing pain without drugs, and he wanted to see me.
So from that, is that like your only experience, or are there
Oh,
more?
I
I
see.
think there's a lot more.
I see many patients every day,
Hmm.
and I treat them all without drugs. And I would say 90% are successfully treated and dismissed.
So, your sentiment about like treating illnesses or like pains without drugs. So, is this like your focal point in your book? Is that
I
what you're
want
attempting to prove?
I want to treat the cause of the problem, not the symptom.
Hmm.
Pain is your body crying out for help, and the doctor saying, "Shut up and take this drug."
So, punk medicine is. Can you tell us more about like what you are dealing with in punk medicine?
Well, I'm just calling the whole medical industry punk medicine because they're doing everything they can to make as much money with as little effort as possible.
So, punk medicine. How did you come up with the title, by the way? Like
There's
punk
another book
medicine.
called Punk Science by a very famous author, and it's a lady doctor from India that I'm very pleased with her writing, and so I got the inspiration for the title from that because she's basically writing about the same thing. Scientists aren't doing research; they're just trying to prove their theories. That's why science, up till now the quantum science has taken its place. Now it has to be honest. So up to now, science changes its decisions about every 10 years. Almost everything reversed, but not anymore.
Mhm. So, medicine as like your focal point in your book. I think it not everyone or not a lot of people are well versed in it, so it's not like very simple to understand. So, do you have like a specific target audience, or do you
Uh,
think the book will
no,
resonate with everyone?
I think children's their parents can read. I wrote my first book was entitled "Why: The Question That Could Save Your Life," and that was to be actually proactive in your own healthcare. Uh, be very careful to study your own child and yourself. If you have a bad diet, read about good diets and get a good diet. It's amazing how healthy you can be and how much more slowly you age if you have the proper diet. Because the American diet is hideous. Just the preservatives in the food are enough to kill the life's the very life-giving cells called mitochondria,
Mhm.
and it's one of the reasons we have such a high incidence of cancer because the mitochondria cells are they're one of their responsibilities is to kill any cell that isn't doing what it's supposed to do.
Yes. So in your book, you also I've read that you also mentioned about a little bit about politics. So while I know that medicine and politics are very much interrelated, did you incorporate like a big part of your book? Is it incorporated with politics or?
The FDA is actually criminal. They are holding back knowledge that could save lives. In fact, they're holding back enough knowledge that I can really prove they're committing mass murder across the world.
Mhm.
FDA should not be allowed to take lobbyists. That's just called bribery. And what are they being bribed for? To say something that isn't true.
I think like the claim the FDA is criminal is will be very much controversial. So do you have did you prove?
It, there is no controversy. Cancer was cured in the 1930s by a Dr. Royal Rife, and the FDA wouldn't allow those methods to be used because there's trillions of dollars to be made on it.
Oh, so that's news to me. So do you like mention it that in your book as well?
That's in my book.
Good. So I think there will be a lot of really informative things in your book.
Oh yeah, I'm. I just hope somebody doesn't take it personally and come and shoot me.
Oh, I hope so not.
Well, 10 years ago they were killing alternative doctors.
Yeah. So, in that note, like, did while writing it, did you like maybe kind of took a step back and like realize that, oops, I may be like treading into dangerous territory here? Did you like
I don't care if
think
I
about?
can save lives. That's the most important thing to me.
So I'm saying that it's really the purpose of your book is basically to inform and to warn people.
Yes, to inform
Yes.
and make you want to learn, because the best defense against disease is learning how to stay healthy.
Yes, I'm sure.
Too bad, but they don't have a user's manual for our body. And my proposal in my last book was that all schools should have 1 hour a day of learning about your own body.
So can you give us like a little bit of more detailed information about your book? Like how long is it? Like how many
It's
pages do you
very
have?
short because I didn't want to scare off people. I wanted to encourage them to read. It's only like 60 pages long.
60 pages.
I could make it 200 pages long, but it would be boring.
Uh 60 pages about like all of these like issues surrounding medicine. Like how did you um like sort of like encompass everything in that short time or short page?
It's pretty easy because I gave examples of almost everything, and who is responsible. The drug industry is primarily one of the worst of all of them because it actually will not. Uh, it doesn't encourage. It doesn't want medical schools to teach alternative medicine because that's been used for thousands of years, and that doesn't. They can't get a patent on any of those alternatives. For instance, turmeric is used in ancient medicine to cure cancer. I cured cancer on my dog with turmeric. Um,
Mhm.
there's a lot of things that aren't being done. That uh, shamanism can do a lot of wonderful things, and that's been around for about 4,000 years. There, psychiatrically, you can do much bigger things with by moving the assemblage point, which is something that doctors don't even know about.
So, the FDA controversies, alternative medicine, your experiences. I'm sure a lot. There are a lot of interesting topics to in your book. So, can you give us a snippet? Like maybe can you read like a favorite part? Do you have a favorite part of your in your book? Like,
Well,
can you share it to our interested viewers? Like, what will they be getting from your
I can
book?
read about Dr. Royal Rife. He was given his doctorate degree by the University of Heidelberg
Hmm.
because he had never had been to a medical school, but he knew more about curing cancer than any doctor did or still knows. But in 1935, he gathered terminally ill tuberculosis and cancer patients, 16 of them, and let's see, although Rife received numerous international rewards for his achievement and was honored with a medical degree from Heidelberg University in Germany, he is considered a quack by the USA establishment and his machines made illegal. The lab the lab destroyed. So that's one of the. There's all kinds of little stories like that in there.
Yes. So, I'm sure there also you also mentioned a lot of other doctors, a lot of people, maybe significant people in your book as well, right?
Yes. Oh, I mentioned a lot of doctors. There's a lot of really wonderful doctors in the world. It's just that
Mhm.
the the drug industry and the greed is. Some people just can't work around greed without having it.
So, besides them, like, did you work with other people to solidify your book? Did you have, or
uh,
is it?
no, I have a lot of medical friends that
Mhm.
that feel the same way I do, and they're going to be very pleased with this book. It is frustrating for a good doctor because the other ones make them be allow the people to doubt them, and because they've had so many bad experiences.
So it's I mean the words in your book is your own personal take on it.
Well, they're my words.
Yes. So I'm sure our viewers are very interested to learn more about your book. So for those who are interested, for those who are watching us live and want to purchase your book, like can you tell them where they can buy one?
Well, Amazon will carry it, and
Mhm.
my publisher will have it at their at the or at the book meetings. And but Amazon is the biggest buyer of my first book.
Mhm. So, do you have maybe plans on making a new book,
Yes,
maybe
I
off
have
this
another
book
one
ending?
almost finished,
Can
and
you give us?
it's goes into quantum physics. The term quantum physics scares everybody away. It's also called quantum mechanics, but basically all it is we have finally put religion and science together, and it is how God created us to be, and that we are not to be subjective thinkers, but objective thinkers. We should
Mhm.
think not our opinion is worthless because next to God who created the universe, why does man think he has a reason to have an opinion of his own? And then one of the most famous men in history, Socrates, who's an absolute genius, 2,500
Yes.
years ago said, "One thing I know is I know nothing." And
Mhm.
the most intelligent people in the world will always say that. Even Einstein admitted he couldn't understand entanglement, which is part of quantum physics. And I'm not saying I could even approach his intelligence, but I have learned how to understand entanglement.
Yes. So, quantum physics and religion, right? So those are
Well,
your
that book is going to be named "Born Again: A Quantum Leap into a Life of Fulfillment."
yes. So now I'm very much curious about your writing process. Like, how do you do it? Like all of these very massive subjects, how do you put them into words, into little books?
I just have that talent. I was given that, and I'm lucky to have it because everybody that reads my books loves them, and
Hmm.
because they're so easy to read.
How
And
long? Yes, yes. Do continue.
and
Sorry.
I did learn to be able to communicate with people because in holistic medicine, you've got to become friends with these people. I even used the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie because I want to become friends with my patients. So they'll, when I say you've got to stop eating carbohydrates, they stop eating carbohydrates because
Yes,
they're a major cause of most of our illness. In fact, whole grains are extremely bad for you.
whole grains.
Yes. And all your life you've been taught they're wonderful.
Yes. So how do you want your readers to feel after reading your books?
I'd like them to feel uh, anxious to learn and become proactive in their own health care.
Like proactive in what way? How do you want them to be proactive?
Or just learn. I mean, there's all kinds of information in the internet and books. There's the Pagan Diet is a new book that just came out on one of the most informative on all the nutrients you can eat and how important they are. There's all kinds of information out there. We just have to get off our butts and stop watching television, or unless you're watching YouTube and getting the lectures. But
Hmm.
there's plenty to watch that gives you information that could save your life, literally.
Yes. Speaking of like YouTube and a lot of other sources of information, how do you think does your book differentiate from them? Like, what makes your book different from all the other sources?
Mine gets at the root cause of why it's greed, basically. It's the drug companies want to make the most money with the least effort. Some doctors there are really fine doctors that don't feel this way, but some doctors, time is money, and if it takes too much time, they're losing
Mhm.
money, so they won't do it. Well, it takes a lot of time. In my practice, I spend a lot of time with my patients to get them to be friends so that we can work together to cure them, not just to cover their symptoms and send them home with a drug for their headache.
Yes. I'm sure you're surrounded with a lot of other intellectual people. So, did they maybe like ever read your book, and how did they react to it?
Nobody's book. I just got my book a couple days ago.
Oh, so it's been only a couple. So nobody else has read it, like maybe your family
Well,
members.
a few of my friends have read it and they love it.
Mhm. Oh, they love it. I'm sure. That's lovely to hear. How long? By the way, how long did it take you to write this book?
3 years.
3 years. In that duration, like, did it ever come across you, like maybe sort of like feel a little bit hopeless about the book, or like what motivated you to continue on writing in
Well, I'd
those three
like to
years?
inform the public that, like, forcing a deadline on that COVID vaccine, that brought me to a near-death experience because once I was shot with the vaccine, I was into the hospital in a coma,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
the obnoxious media that we have don't let us know that there are lots of people that have died of that vaccine.
Mhm. So, Dr. Brown, I really enjoyed today's discussion and I learned a lot about medicine. So, I'm sure your book has a purpose, and I'm sure our viewers will be really interested to buy it. So, to our viewers, again, if you want to read more about punk medicine, can you show them your book, like how it looks like? Yes, there. I'll maybe a little bit further to the back. Yes, there. Good. So you can grab a copy of it on Amazon.com and on BarnesandNobles.com. So once again, thank you for being with us today, Dr. Brown. So I
Oh, thank you.
think Yes, so I think I can speak for everyone when I say that we can't wait to read more about your upcoming book and, of course, punk medicine. Because as we say here in Reader's Magnet, we share your stories with the world. Thank you and have a pleasant day.
Thank you.